This is Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to another episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Loose Shirt. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
So, where are you from?
I'm from Virginia, southwestern Virginia.
You lived there your entire life, or?
I have,
Okay.
in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Love it here.
Ah, okay. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
Well, I'm 59 now, and when I was 15 or 16, it wasn't called locksport back then, but I visited a local locksport, and it was in the downtown area. My uncles owned a store down there. Anyway,
you mean a locksmith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my uncles sent me around the corner to the gun shop where the locksmiths often hung out, and I would go down there on Saturdays and hang out with him and just talk about locks and stuff.
Okay.
Pretty much. So that's how I got into it. It wasn't called locksport back then. It didn't exist that anybody knew of at that point.
Did they refer to it as something else?
Well, back then it was really frowned upon for anybody to be messing with locks unless you were, certified locksmith.
Okay.
So
what did you exactly figure out to use for tools then?
Well, so the locksmith that I used to visit, his name was Wayne Hudson, and he kind of took me under his wing and used to, let me ride along with him to see what was going on. And he taught me, he said, go out into the city streets, and look around, and you'll find, every few steps or something, you'll find spring steel from the street sweepers.
Okay.
Those metal brushes that they use, to brush the street.
Yeah.
Often will break off, and it's really brittle stuff. It's not. We wouldn't like to use that at this point. After having,
after being
some multi-picks or whatever.
After being spoiled.
After being spoiled, but he, it was funny. I'd sit at this gun shop on a stool, and Wayne would just draw pictures of picks and stuff and say, "Go out, find some spring steel," and I would go home. And like next week, I'd come back and I'd have a couple of picks. I had a hook and a rake, and then made some tension wrenches, and that was my tools.
Oh, that's cool.
And I never had tools until about a year ago, other than what I had made back when I was a teenager. Now I can afford that stuff now, but I kind of went overboard with all that at this point.
Don't we all? To some extent.
Yep.
So what was your first real set that you got yourself, and did you make good use of it?
I got a set of Southward, the PXS 14 set off of Amazon, and let's see, that was a year and a half ago or so. I didn't use them that long. I didn't like them too much. They were too fat. They were 25 thousandths or more, probably 30 thousandths. I don't remember what they were, but they were huge, and I just couldn't get them in a lot of locks. So didn't use those very long, but I graduated pretty quickly to Peterson's. But I didn't really appreciate his $10 a pick.
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. So what did you go to after that?
Jimmy Long's, actually. And it's still my number one pick. It's my go-to. I mean, my number two is Moki. I have Mokis too, but between those two, those are my favorites. But I've got just about everything out there. Multi-pick, they're fantastic picks. I only have a small set of those, but the only thing that I don't like about them is they're just kind of small, but they're excellent quality for sure.
Okay, so I have a question because there seems like there's a time gap from between being a kid and you made your own tools to, you said just a year and a half ago you obtained the Southord. Um, so
Yeah.
what happened in between there?
Well, so I tagged along with Wayne and actually met another locksmith when I was a teenager. His name was Gil Gross. And I just decided I was going to go to college. I mean, I could have become a locksmith and made a hell of a living. I know I could have, but I didn't want to do that. I, I decided to go to college and I got my finance degree, a BS in finance.
Okay.
So just kind of shelved all that for 40 some years, literally. Um, as far as how I got involved with locksport as we know it today, that actually happened in the summer of 2022. I was at a state park in a cabin, and I had brought along, for some reason, I was at my dad's house, and I saw one of my old combination locks. It was a master combo. Didn't have the combination for it. And I was gonna just decided while I was there for a week, I'd try to figure out, the combination. So I hit YouTube and I hit upon this guy named Sammy Kakar that has a fantastic channel, and he actually has a website where you can, he's got a recipe on how to figure out what the combination is for a master combo, and there's a range of numbers, and you can plug it into his algorithm and
Hmm.
and you know narrow down the number of attempts it takes to something reasonable to get it in, get the lock open. So
Okay.
that really opened up my eyes big time. I mean, I went to school to become a finance major, and I worked in finance for about 11 years. But long story short, I kept writing software for my colleagues and went into IT.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of background, and I understood. I came up through the internet and all the possibilities there were. But it didn't hit me until, a couple years ago, just how much information there is out there on locks.
Yeah.
Um, when I was a
Yeah.
kid, that just didn't exist. The internet didn't exist,
Yeah.
and nobody talked about locks unless you knew a locksmith. That's just all there was.
Okay, but
That's how it was.
somewhere along the way, you mentioned your brother and he had got you interested in best SFICs.
He did, and he actually figured out. The control wrench that they have for those, where you can tension the sleeve to get to the control when you pick. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, my brother figured that out in probably 1981, and we didn't know. I mean, nobody told us that. He's a pretty smart fellow, and he figured it out. I still have his prototype, by the way. It's
Cool.
in my collection here somewhere.
Okay.
But he figured out, that hey, if you tension down there, it's possible to get to the control and pull those cores out of those best locks. So he got me interested in that, and I started messing with those. And probably when I was 17 or so, I had my first core. Back then, you had to peel the tailpiece off the back of the SFICs. They were riveted on, and
Okay.
I had a pair of calipers, and I was in my room during the summer on a card table, and I laid out everything, and I was painstakingly taking all the pins out. If you've ever taken, I have a lab annex now for SFIC that just makes it just like nothing, like breathing, to get those open and keep them organized. But I mean, I spent hours a day. But what do you do when you're 17 and it's summertime?
And you're determined.
And yeah, and I mapped it all out and then made a control key and an operating key for
Very
that
cool.
particular cool
Very,
board. Put it all back together.
very, very cool. Okay, so of all these things that you've been talking about, what would you say was the biggest challenge for you learning how to pick locks?
Well, it was just definitely back then, not having any resources. I mean, I went to the county library and I ended up going to a local college library as well and found a book um, that had best SFIC in it. There was a couple pages on it and like two pictures.
Mm.
Okay, so didn't really show the inside of it that
N-
much, but
Not a
maybe
lot to go on.
no, it was horrible. But you know, my dad's 97 now, and my childhood home, he has a workbench downstairs, and my brother and I both spent a lot of our time, spare time at that workbench, just thinking, figure out you had to hack, I guess is what you call it now.
Mhm.
Just using the old scientific method to think about things and figure
Yep.
out how they work and
Reverse engineer. Yep.
innovate,
Yep.
reverse engineer.
Yeah.
So that was it, and I still use that today, even in my IT career. I mean, I'm a problem solver, so what's the problem and what can I do to fix it, and just make my attempt.
Okay, so it sounds like you spent a lot of time on best SFICs, but is that your favorite lock?
It isn't my favorite anymore, but actually, it got me involved into locksport as I know it now through watching YouTube videos.
Okay.
And I found this guy named Dr. Hogmaster.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I saw Hog, and I saw what he had the tools to deal with them, and he seemed like me as far as how he laid things out. It was all very scientific, and it wasn't chaotic. Some people, you watch their video and it's like, my God, how in the hell did you ever get in that thing or figure out how it works? Because you're just all over the place. But not Hogmaster. He's very straightforward and
Methodical.
and you can methodical. Yes.
Okay.
And I I'll try to go through this part pretty quick, but I found another video by this guy named Odin Locks and Keys. He was a locksmith here in the United States, and on one of his jobs, he got some best padlocks from one of his customers, and he was showing how to use a lab annex, I think. Well, he showed how to drill the cores out, and he did it he damaged he sacrificed one lock to get the core out, and then showed how to make the control key.
Oh, cool.
Which, I mean, I knew those principles, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I ended up contacting this guy, so I'm kind of a stalker here, I guess. I contacted him, and we conversed, and he said, "Okay, I'll send them to you." He sent me the locks.
That's
sent me
cool.
like 5 of them,
Very cool.
and I could not get to control. I've gotten to control when I was a kid, and I could get to control as an adult, but I couldn't get the control on these particular locks. So I actually measured. I took Odin's video, and with a program called GIMP, it's a graphics program.
Yep.
I measured and tried to figure out what the key cut is for the control, because he had it laying out on this workbench there. Still couldn't get it. Couldn't get it open. So that's how I found Doc Hogmaster, and we started talking, and he said, "Well, just send it to me. I'll see if I can get it in." So sent it to him. I sent him the video link, and he had an idea of what the key looked like. And literally that same day he got it, he got the open and got the core out of it.
Oh.
And what he did is he has a lab X, and he sat down and measured the pins and gate, and sent me back through. I forgot how we conversed. It must have been through Reddit back then, but he emailed me or whatever, and he told me the different pin sizes, and then I did the research and figured out, what the keys would be cut to for the control and operating. And I went and cut those keys because I have an old duplicator from when I was a kid, and opened up the locks. So then I made a set for him and sent him the keys so he would have a set of keys for the one that he opened up.
Cool.
And that's how it all started. He asked me, what rank are you? And I'm like, what? He says,
Uh-huh.
aren't you an LPU? And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's how it started, man.
Yeah, and that's how you got into the community from there, that point forward.
That's it. Exactly.
So within the community, obviously there's lots of options out there between Discord and LPU and then you've got Reddit and you've got Facebook groups. What do you tend to stick with for the most part?
Well, I'm a Discord user mainly. I belong to LPU subreddit and also for the Discord channel. And also I'm a mod for another Discord server called Unlocked.
Yep.
But I spend most of my time in Discord. However, I go back to Reddit every single day, and I encourage people and talk to them, try to give advice every single day. Just like there are a lot of black belts, well, not just black belts, but a lot of LPU folks that do that same thing, and I think it's an important thing to do because while we mostly center around Discord, the subreddit is still an important thing.
So you got on the he encouraged you, Dr. Hogmaster encouraged you to pursue the belts. So what belt are you?
I'm a black belt. I'm a black belt now.
What Dan?
I just got second Dan.
Okay.
Sunday, I think.
So tell us a little bit about that journey.
So Hogmaster got me started on this, and I came in January 23 as a green belt, and I became a black belt by, I think, November of last year.
Fast track.
And honestly, I really tried to slow it down. And if I can give anybody advice out there, just take your time, because it's not all over when you become a black belt, because there is the Dan system, but it's just so much fun. Just take your time and go through. Don't skip. I didn't skip over red to go to black. I tried not to do that.
Enjoy your victories.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about, to get to blue, you needed to do a challenge lock. Can you tell us about that a little bit, what that was like for you?
Yeah. I ended up buying 3 Schlage Everests without keys. No, one of them had keys, or two of them. I had 2 keys. I'm sorry. It's been a while here, hot minute. But I made a challenge lock out of one of those, and I sent it to Doc Hogmaster, and he was gracious enough to do my blue belt challenge lock, and it was really kind of funny. If you ever go back and look at his feed and find that video,
okay,
boy, he was just making it seem like it's the hardest damn thing in the world.
So,
but it wasn't.
It
made me feel good.
Which locks did you pick on your way to black, though?
As far as for the black belt locks,
yeah.
Let's see, ASA 700 and a gold V18, I believe, were the 2 for black belt.
Okay.
And then I did my couple of quests as well.
Oh, okay. Which quests did you do?
Impressioning and cutaways.
Oh, okay, cool. So you have a little bit of machinist in you?
Yeah, I made a cutaway of a Schlage kick when I was a green belt.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it all went back to childhood at the workbench, just kind of fooling around with that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that.
So you made your blue belt challenge lock and got your blue and went on from there. Do you enjoy picking challenge locks or making them?
Well, As a matter of fact, I do. In fact, the reason I'm so low on the Dan list is I spent since November or so, December of 2023. Since December of 2023, I've picked over 150 challenge locks that I've
Oh,
kept
wow.
record of.
Phew.
So I enjoy them, and I've done tons of blue belt challenge locks.
Very cool.
Because I enjoy it. I like doing that for people. I like to film them because I remember when I was there, and it hadn't been very long ago.
Yeah.
So try to capture that for other folks.
We're definitely going to need to get you in for an interview for the Challenge Lock workshop. So, and talk about some of those challenge locks. So I'm not going to give away any spoilers in this interview. They'll have to come back for that one to hear which challenge locks you remember distinctly.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we can do that.
All right. So you, from what I could tell, you started your YouTube channel when you were pursuing your belt videos, but what are you doing with it now? And what do you feel the future of your channel is going to be?
Well, whenever I have an interesting lock, I try to share it on my channel. And I've gotten to the point where I just pick the gold P, for instance, and what I'll do is before the pick, I'll explain about the lock a little bit and just try to not preach, but teach or just explain about how things work.
Yep.
And then, show the pick after that.
That's awesome.
So that's what I'm going to do with it going forward.
Okay. So,
because there's a lot more locks out there that I haven't even touched.
So it sounds like you want to give back, and that's awesome. We always love to hear that. So are there any lock sporters? I would imagine Dr. Horgmaster being one of them. Are there any other lock sporters that you'd like to say thank you to or give thanks to?
Well, let me just go back to Doc just for a second and tell you about that. I mean, he gave me, when I started talking to him, he sent me a box of locks and tools, pen and trays. I was blown away by all that. I just couldn't believe it. I've never experienced anybody else, other than family, that would take that much interest and care. In fact, I think I probably overdid it with him a little bit. I embarrassed him a bit because I didn't understand it. What the hell's this guy doing? No, just, is there some kind of ulterior motive? Of course there's not.
No.
If you know Doc at all, there's no ulterior motive.
It's just the way the community is.
Yes, it really is. Unbelievable. Yeah. But so that was Doc. And then as far as other folks, wow, Georgia Jim and his jiggle test and his tool reviews, his unbiased tool reviews, like to give a shout out to him. Agent Lockpick, he got me involved in the Unlock Discord and made me a mod there. Lady Locks, what can I say? I mean,
yep, she's stellar.
She is. She loaned me her GGs, hands down, no problem. Keep as long as you want. Just send them back when you're done. And one thing I want to say about her, we are predominantly a bunch of middle-aged white boys that are introverted as hell. And here you have Lady Locks with this wonderful personality that she's just so refreshing to have. I really appreciate her.
Yep, definitely. She is unique in the community, that's for sure.
She really is, and she really cares about helping others. So
yes, she does.
She's part of us for sure.
Yep.
Lockchuck is another one that I got a lot of help from. In fact, he loaned me his Master 19 that I was having a lot of trouble with that, and he got me through that. Dick Smith, wow. I mean, he's the one that gave me the lock for my impressioning quest. Jay Gabriel, all his challenge lock stuff. DQ.
The mad scientist, yep.
Yes, and Jay is... He's another one. He's so giving. It's almost to a detriment. I always have to stay on his ass to quit giving stuff to people all the time because it's
yep
too caring.
Definitely.
From the LPU though, people that I learned from a lot and have just really helped me there. Norland, Michael Gilchrist, Rhett Pep. um, Red Wanderer. All those guys really helped me up through the belts.
Okay.
And newer folks like from Unlocked, DIY DM.
Yep.
He's been a fantastic guy. HJ, can't forget HJ. I have to tease him every single day because it's just so much fun. NICVT, he's a newer picker, and like Wolfgang Reuxid from Austria, has been a pleasure working with him. I did one of his challenge locks. He sent it over, and I enjoyed doing that for his bluebill.
Excellent. Okay.
So that was a lot of people, and I know I missed some of them. I'm sorry, folks. I
It's okay.
can't think of them all right now, but
So, okay. So last question before we wrap up. You've gone through your thank yous, but what would you say is your favorite thing about Locksport and why?
well, it's just that it's so different. It's the people are so welcoming and encouraging, in both the Reddit and the Discord and Facebook groups. I never have been involved in anything like that. In fact,
Same here.
I'll go back to like my IT days years ago. Like if you went into a Linux forum, you got your ass handed to you by some 13-year-old smug little.
Yeah, keyboard warrior. Trolls. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I expected when I go to software forums all the time, and when I got into Locksport, I kind of expected that and never saw it.
Right there
Rarely
with
see it.
Right there with you.
In fact, when it happens, they get shut down pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
People just don't want to deal with that.
Yep, definitely.
And as far as like what my favorite things about Locksport though, or I can get lost in this hobby and not feel guilty about it. I can just do this stuff for hours and
Yep.
really just don't feel guilty about it at all.
Yep.
So much fun.
So, do you have a final message that you'd like to give to our audience before we wrap up?
Just that I appreciate all you guys out there that have helped me, and I hope I'm continuing to help others. And if you do need help, please reach out. If I can't answer your questions, I'll find somebody that can. I'll be glad to help.
Okay. So I want to thank you for doing the interview. It was a lot of fun getting to talk to you. We talked for quite a bit, and I enjoyed that, and we had some good laughs as well. I do want to say to our audience, if you're listening, you have not done an interview yet, why not? I promise you it's a painless experience, and it's a lot of fun. You don't have to be an accomplished picker or somebody that's been doing it for ages to be interesting or for us to want to hear about you. We just want to know about who's out in the community. So come along and let's hear your story. We'll all be very happy to hear it. Besides that, it allows us to know what else we have in common besides Locksport. So with that, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for listening.